just in terms of the fact that we were hit with a sleep spell and then woke up again, I'm assuming that my
Yes,
grappling hook is
your grappling
wound.
hook was wound back up.
Okay, cool.
Is that a microwave?
What it looks like is more than anything else like a floating filing cabinet. But in the kind of, it's kind of like one of those nice wooden ones with glass windows, so you can see the books through it. It does seem to be partly full of books, but reflected in the two glass windows, you can just kind of see kind of outlines of the reflected from the books and the light in this room that make it kind of look like eyes.
Cool. I thought you were going to go full brain of Morbius on us, but this is even better.
And Anahiss gestures to this thing and says, "This is Posit. Posit is a creature unlike anything I've seen before.
Makes two of us.
Quite remarkable. Posit, perhaps you could introduce yourself if you've still got enough left in the tank." And at this point, you all hear a voice in your heads. It's quite a dry but enthusiastic voice, like, and it's kind of almost a slight chorus of voices. Imagine about 20 academics giving an enthusiastic presentation at a conference, layered on top of each other. That's what the voice sounds like. And it says, "Hello, I am the repository. Although Anahiss calls me Posit for short, as indeed did my father, Professor Bustius."
Professor Bustius?
Yes, Professor Bustius created me. I believe because he was always losing his books and needed something to keep track of them. That's me, the repository.
He is useless.
I want one.
And if anyone would like to, they can make me an Arcana check.
Here we go.
Come on, someone who's good at this.
19.
Ooh.
I'm barely awake. I got a 1. I'm like,
yeah, Faria, it's probably magic. Wendy, you've scraped together some arcane knowledge from your storied history and the various different weird people you've met over your time, both in Shackle and elsewhere. Mm-hmm. From the various stories you've heard, this feels like it's something that shouldn't really be possible. It's like someone has jammed the animate object spell and the awaken spell together. And has somehow awakened a filing cabinet. There are some...
Do I get a sense... Sorry.
Go on. There are some far-reaching consequences for this that you don't quite have the knowledge to unpick, but so there's just a moment where you're thinking, wait, how does this even work? Does it know all the things the books know? Does this thing have a soul? What's going on? I was just about
to say, do I get a sense whether it's sort of pre-programmed, if you like, or if it has sort of, air quote, a mind of its own?
It's hard to say definitively,
okay,
but based on the way it's responded and your understanding of this magic, you shouldn't be able to give an animate object a kind of full consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not behaving in a way that's even as so much of the little you've seen so far, that is limited by set commands.
Right.
So if it is running off kind of like programmed instructions, they are complex.
Okay.
Yeah, and kind of Posit
Can I
continue.
make sorry,
Go on.
again, just a slightly meta suggestion, and I'll say it before you tell me I'm not allowed to. Alan, do you think you should make a check of whether you have any knowledge of anything like this, because you've messed around with automatons?
Well, Bustius did say I was supposed to be looking for a machine, but I thought it was the thing I poked in his office. Now I'm starting to think it's this thing. Maybe. Does that sound like about right, Webster?
It's entirely possible that this might be the experiment that Professor Bustius sent you to collect.
Cool.
Cool. And yeah, Posit does continue in your head briefly, going, it is nice to meet you all. If you have any requests for information, I contain many books and much arcane knowledge. So if there's anything you do not understand, I will do my best to select the right tome for you. Also, have you seen my father recently?
Yeah. Just this morning, in fact. He's looking for you as well.
Good, good. He is always losing things. Although, in this case, I cannot really blame him.
Yeah, how did you get down here in the first place?
Well, perhaps Anahiss would like to explain that. And Anahiss...
Jack, don't add theft to the list before he starts.
Let me just check the exact order of events as they occurred.
It's a good point. I should start writing down all the crimes.
Oh no! Should have kept my mouth shut.
Metaphysical assault.
The sewers count as public property. Is this trespassing?
Stop helping him.
Littering. Immigration without correct documentation.
Brain not on a leash.
Uncontrolled brain in a public space.
I feel like Inspired Quill needs to publish this as a little chat book.
That'd be lovely. And Anahiss chips in with, well, yes, when I found my way through, I didn't come through the gate proper. It seems that Posit here, with the instruction of Professor Mab and Professor Bustius, somehow managed to shortcut through the gate, and I emerged into first into a lab, and then Posit teleported us away because there were other people there, and into Mr. Mab's office. I was a little kind of freaked out, so I left, but I sent Ick back. Ick tells me that's its name now, so well done. Sent Ick back to kind of investigate and find what knowledge Ick could.
So you're saying that Posit can also teleport?
Posit can, as far as I can tell, do a great many spells, as Posit contains a great many spell books.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Ever. Wait, so I'll just kind of nudge Faria and make sure she's still awake. Just say, so the teleporty thing that moved us from one room to another was the thing that they've used, probably, to get through the gate. But there was a dead guy in that room as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So dead guy in the first room.
On an OC note, I'll point out that you do not know if that guy was dead or not.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. We never actually got to...
You can absolutely, in character, assume that person was dead. But I just want to make sure for the audience and in case you'd forgotten.
Yeah, thanks, yeah.
And
that guy who was definitely dead.
And he says, oh,
Even though we
gosh,
didn't check.
well, I'm really sorry. We didn't stay to provide medical aid, I'm afraid. Bustius and Professor Mab were really sure we should leave quite quickly.
Mm.
Yes.
Do I know if Bustius had an assistant or anything like that?
I think it's fair to say Bustius shared the lab with other people, so it could have been an assistant, it could have been another wizardly researcher.
I still have Professor Zephyr's cloak in my bag, so he was probably somewhere there.
Indeed, that is
I'm
possible.
adding on conspiracy to commit sentient trafficking. I have another question for you. Are you a gift Soraya or an illithid?
I am neither of those things, although some people within Tangle are.
Are you a
myself?
shapeshifter?
Yes, that's hence the skin kind of ripples again. It's as kind of a flash of color goes down his face.
Now, I've read that people from the Tangle are marked in some way. Could you explain to us how that is, in case we encounter any others?
It differs from person to person, I'm afraid.
Would
Like
you
a
tell?
birthmark?
Would you be able to tell?
Let me put it this way. If you find someone who has a wound somewhere on them that looks like it should have killed them, but they're up and walking around, that's usually what's left behind when someone dies for the first time.
Okay.
Got you.
You can tell I found my notebook now, can't you?
Yes, and I've been trying to put some things together. Posit has been very helpful, but Posit is currently limited by the fact that Posit's down a few books. Ick managed to find one and promptly ate it. So actually, Ick, if you don't mind, I think you might need to get into Posit. Posit opens its doors invitingly.
Don't know if I'm old enough to see this.
And unless anyone stops
section goes wild.
Unless anyone stops it, the little brain scutters along on its little legs and jumps, landing neatly on an empty spot on one of the shelves in this floating filing cabinet. And a little kind of ripple of energy emanates out, and Puss goes, yes. That's very helpful. Very helpful information on the construction of interplanar travel. Good, I had forgotten that.
Wendy, are you now attached to the filing cabinet?
No.
While you were asleep, the hook had been detached.
Ooh, Ick the Slick.
I feel as though Ick's name needs to elongate over the different time frames.
Survivor of Flame, Mother of Dragons, first of his name.
Jumper into cabinets.
Ooh. Thunder, like above my house.
Yes, and Anahiss looks over me and goes, so I'd be open to thoughts from you on what the next steps should be. I certainly the wardens may well have made diplomatic contact with your. Do you have a government? Do you have a diplomatic corps, something like that?
Yes.
Probably.
I'm assuming that I would know quite well.
Yeah, you probably know fairly well, so I'm not going to make you roll for this.
Okay.
The diplomatic relations between Shackle and other kind of places and planes are usually handled by members of the kind of loose city council and professors who specialize in the study of diplomacy, of which Ambrose Mab was a relatively junior professor in that field. There are others who are much more senior and probably handle something like this. The Council of Shackle is a little interesting in that anyone can join the council if they think they have a say in how Shackle should be run. And a bit about Shackle. Shackle, when it was kind of realizing it was at a size that it had to start kind of governing itself and organizing itself, it looked to the scholars to tell them what system they should use. And the scholars came back more or less with the quote of, well, this is the worst system we've ever tried, except for every other system.
Churchillian.
So they decided they wouldn't have a system of governance, and instead people could just join, run their stuff the way they would like, and if this became a problem for other people in the council, then they would do something about it. This is kind of how the laws of Shackle came about, in that there weren't any codified laws, and the kind of Guild of Orderlies was just contracted by one faction to come in and enforce certain laws that faction decided on. And if anyone had an issue with that, they could take it up with the Guild of Orderlies.
Okay. Interesting.
There's later been some quite tense negotiation on what the laws should be, but they've more or less shaken out.
Okay. Do we know how old Shackle is?
Anyone could make me a history check if you'd like to.
That will not do it. I just got 11.
19.
Oh.
18. Oh, so close.
Cool. So on an 18 and a 19, no one's quite sure how old Shackle is. The official history goes back a few hundred years.
Okay.
But you're aware that it was a kind of town before that. And over time, more and more people flocked there, largely because it had this planar gate.
Okay.
Well, I think the first thing we should probably do is take the cupboard back to Bustius and have a word with him, because he probably knows a bit more.
And Anahiss goes, yes, I think that if we can get in touch with Bustius, that would be fantastic. We can work out what his reasoning was and kind of reaching out and maybe work out where the other books that Posit is missing are, and possibly get back up to full strength.
What
this
are
seems like a weird situation. Does anyone have anywhere safe where we can? I'm guessing we shouldn't walk around with Anahiss and an animated cupboard down the street. Does anyone have anywhere safe we can go? I don't.
I suppose my apartment might be a bit of a squeeze, or Faria, what about your workshop? Is your father working today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess, but we'd blend right in the mess, so
my watcher's eye does let me know where dens of criminal activity are, if we want to just kind of disappear for a bit.
Yeah, you could find like a criminal safe house to hide out in.
Do that too, yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable being in a criminal safe house with present company.
Who?
Not sure whether to feel offended or not.
I just mean that, yes, there might be a safe house available, but what if other people come back to use it?
We tend to bugger off, don't we?
Not really flying under the radar, is it? Well, I mean, we can wander around in the sewers if we need to get somewhere, surely.
I could try and find Bustius and bring him back here if you want. It's just a bit scaggy down here, isn't it?
It looks like an operational headquarters to me.
I feel as though either Faria's workshop or my apartment would be the best place for this conversation.
We're still going to have to get there, though, because...
Yeah, but one of us could go off and
Well, we can go and Posit can teleport. No.
Oh, I see.
Ask Posit if it's still got the right book.
Posit chimes in telepathically. I am afraid that the tome which contained the right spells for that, either Dimension Door or Teleportation Circle, oh indeed, Plane to Travel, has been lost to me.
Brilliant. Well, we could carry you.
I am perfectly capable of moving myself, and Posit floats across the floor a little bit.
I'm aware of that, Posit, but what I'm thinking is if we need to move around topside without anyone looking askance at us, we can pretend to be carrying you.
Ah, yes, I see. A deception.
I also have my cloak I can put over the top to sort of.
What's this? Nothing.
Well, it looked like a little palanquin, when we carry it along. Carrying a very, very small diplomat.
Very well. This sounds like I will be treated with due respect, and I will acquiesce to this ruse.
So which one are we going to again?
Wendy's place, wasn't it?
Well, either my apartment or Faria's workshop.
Which is closer? I live in Puzzle.
I'm not sure which one's closer.
Let me just have a look at the...
Yeah, have you got an A to Z in that filing cabinet?
Ordnance surveys.
Or maybe the Sewage Gazette for the... that's probably got a map in it.
Well, the office we were in was in Puzzle as well, wasn't it? So we should be close.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You are probably closer to Farrow's workshop.
Okay.
Faria, are you happy for us to...
Crash at yours?
Yes.
Just let me go in first. All right. And let my dad know. We don't get many visitors.
Very good. So where do you want to exit the rotation steps and exit the sewers back in the college, or do you want to go elsewhere?
Is Posit going to fit through the grate that we crawled through, given that Posit is a box?
Posit would probably just about fit, and then Posit adds in your brains, I could cast enlarge/reduce on myself and reduce my size to enable me to fit through.
Oh.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, can we maybe get closer before we go topside?
Yeah, you absolutely could. I'm going to add here as well, because Sarah, because you rolled on your Arcana check earlier, the idea of this thing being able to cast spells is wild.
Yeah.
Certainly, if this was like a magical automaton, it probably wouldn't be able to cast spells, or it would only be able to cast ones that have been previously enchanted on it by someone.
So it would be like letting them loose rather than actually casting them.
Yes. Whereas if this thing can actually cast spells that it chooses from all the ones stored in it, that one implies the existence of a soul. Not necessarily, because there are potential ways around that, but usually it is kind of that magic can usually only be cast by souled creatures.
I'm hoping that Faria's workshop doesn't have any sort of dog-eared books or badly taken care of furniture now.
Yeah. This information also leads you to think that however Bustius created this thing probably took a lot of time and sacrifice. There are sacrifice rules that we've added to the game, wherein you can sacrifice things like gold or time to do things that usually wouldn't be possible. And it seems like a consistent amount of sacrifice has been poured into this thing to make all of this work and coexist.
It seems quite strange that someone would sacrifice so much for... I mean, don't get me wrong, Posit is awesome, but there has to be more to it than just being forgetful, I would have thought. Okay.
Come
I guess it's
So,
on then,
maybe.
Posit. Smallen yourself.
Okay, and you head out of that main chamber back into the sewers. You are untroubled by giant rats the rest of the way.
I'm behind Anahiss. Anahiss walks in the middle.
Very good. As does so without any complaints.
I've got my hand on my sword the whole time.
Yep. He makes sure not to make any sudden movements and seems very obedient.
What are we doing for light, by the way?
I can produce flame.
Cool.
I'll just do that because it's a cantrip.
Super. Yeah, there were a couple of candles in the chamber that you could easily take with you as well.
Okay.
But produce flame will probably be more reliable.
Cool.
Yeah, Anahiss, have you got any money?
Oh yes, I've got and Anahiss reaches into his pocket and brings out a little handful of kind of like carved bone chips that have different kind of either runes or kind of markings on them. Will this do? Do you take these?
Right, you're in charge of your own food and drink and lodging and stuff. We're not paying for that, okay?
That's not something we even need to consider at the moment, Jack. Can you please get with the program?
No, we need this up front. I'm not paying for anything, right?
Of course you're not.
Yeah, and Anahiss just says, I am well accustomed to needing to acquire the things that I require to survive.
Fab.
Grant. And as you make your way to the sewers exit, I'm going to say that's a wonderful place for us to kind of pause briefly and end this episode. Thank you for joining us for this episode of IQ D&D, the Ramshackle Adventures. Join us next time to find out what awaits our brave heroes once they leave the dark, musty, and smelly sewer. Take care, like, subscribe, buy books. Bye.
Once it starts going online, I think I might get really self-conscious.
It happens.
Well, I'm not going to be watching a single one of them, and I sure as hell I'm not going to be checking out any comments if we even get any.
That's the healthy way to do it.
The stuff that happens while I'm sat here is it.
Yep.
Done.